Well, that's a howler. That's a howler. I was about to say we are back with a bang, and I'm just speaking on mute. But what's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. We are back once again at 8 p.m. Bit later than a bit later than usual, but we are here to talk about, as you can see from the title, Dougie Freedman and more. As always, if you do enjoy the content, if you can hit the like button, that'd be much appreciated. The objective is 200 likes. We're smashing the last live stream. Let's see if we can smash it once again. And get involved, whether you're watching on replay, by leaving down your thoughts in the conversation down below. And if you're watching live and have any questions, put a Q and a dot before your question, and we will answer them at the end of the show. T, Europa League final going on right now. Never know, man. Never know when Palace might end up in one of these. Instead of a Palace News episode, one day we could be doing a watch along for Europa League final. Who do you reckon is going to win it?
Man, to this point, I mean, Bayer Leverkusen seems like the overwhelming favorite for sure. So,
I mean, they're unbeaten as well. They've been on a crazy run, but yeah, man, one can dream. One can dream. I guess the European hopes or all of that falls down to a perfect summer. To have a perfect summer, this is a nice segue. You have to have the guy staying at the football club, and the main guy himself, which a lot of people don't talk about, is Dougie Freedman. He's been finding all of these gems and planning the squad all along, and it has been working out. He has been rumored with a move away from the football club for how long would he say to you? A few months. Maybe a bit longer. There's always been a bit, a few murmurs here and there. I guess as soon as Dan Ashworth was rumored to join Man United, Dougie Freedman's been there and about in terms of the rumors. But the latest reports, we'll see if it is true, on Dougie Freedman is that he has rejected an offer from Newcastle United to stay at Crystal Palace. It sounds crazy. But if this is that's according to Football Insider 24/7, so not tier one source. Have to reiterate that. But then again, on top of that, I've known some people they've asked Dougie as well before the games, and he has told the fans that he's staying. And if he was to leave, then I guess things would have progressed. He's been rumored for a few weeks, and it seems like nothing's happened. But if this is true, and he has rejected Newcastle T, that's a massive statement to the players, the manager, the fans, and also Dougie's belief that we can build and continue progressing up the table.
Absolutely. I think what it is it's just another step in the right direction for us. You've had our manager who has had interest from a high level organization in Bayern. He turned down that, and then now you have your director of football deciding to turn down what is going to be a Champions League team next season. So I'm hoping that is a sign of good things to come for us this summer. I think somebody I saw somebody on Twitter say that was kind of like step 2 of like 6 in keeping guys. Over the summer.
I think Dougie, arguably, I mean, Elise one day will leave Palace like Eze and all of these other players. There was some, I don't think they're going to retire at Crystal Palace. But, keeping Dougie there is important for me. Sometimes it gets understated in terms of we talk about players, but we don't talk about the person who's controlling the incomings and the outgoings. And Dougie Freedman is the one that found all of these players in the first place. And if we were to lose him, then that brings a lot more questions about, can we replace these players? Exactly. The next director of football be good enough? So if this is true, once again, I'm saying if it is true, which I don't think he will leave. I don't think he will leave the football club at this point, especially this summer. Glasner rejecting Bayern is a good statement in itself to give Dougie a bit of faith as well. So it goes both ways, and Dougie rejecting Newcastle is also positive as well. But it allows us to continue what we're building. And I think you look at Newcastle's project, I think that's a very exciting project. Like like any other project. It's a very exciting project to join with the money that they could have, the fan base, of course, they're bigger clubs. Like, you can build something interesting there. The fact that he's rejected that potentially, and I know his family is up north as well, to stay at Crystal Palace, that's showing what we can actually look forward to in this summer as well. I don't think he stays if we don't send him the plan, in terms of, backing him and helping him, grow the Palace side, which he has been doing. So I think it goes both ways. I think we have given him the responses, and the player that we'll be given an update on, who's very close to joining Palace, that itself is kind of showing the signs as well, because we've never really operated like this. Signing, being close to signing the player even before the window opens. And I think that reflects on just the single mentality at the football club. And that's why the manager and the director of football is actually happy to stay at Palace rather than move on to potentially bigger things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the piece of it that stands out too is, like you hinted at, he's the father of the system. You know what I mean? So if Dougie stays, the system stays in place intact the way that we've had it for years past, comparatively to losing out on a player that we feel can be replaced with what he's done and how he's going about finding players. But to lose him makes it a little bit different. I wonder if, the idea of going to a place like Newcastle, I mean, it had to be tempting and he had to hear them out. At the same time, I wonder if Newcastle would allow him to implement the system in the way that he wants, or, just doing it the way that he's accustomed to, especially with how we're doing it. So it may just be that principles align better with where we are and what we're doing in comparison to maybe what he saw with Newcastle. But regardless, man, really, really excited to hear that he's committed to staying and not showing interest in moving away.
And also, the expectations at Newcastle are different to what he's doing at Palace as well. Like,
true,
he's got
very true.
Like at Newcastle, you kind of have to find players that are ready, that are probably
exactly,
young.
Very different style.
It's different to at Palace, where we're willing to buy these players, develop them into the players that we know they could be, and then push them on. At Newcastle, it's going to be more, we need players right now to push on to be top 4, top 6 competitive. They've got wealthy ownership group. They've got high ambitions. They want to expand the stadium, and that pressure in itself is different. So yeah, I mean, let's actually see what happens. Of course, it's just one source, but then again, I am optimistic that Dougie Freedman remains at the football club, which is massive. It is massive news, and hopefully that is the case. Graham says, obviously massive news, perhaps one of the most, if not the most important retention. I agree. Like, as I said, if you lose Elise right now, you still got Dougie at the football club, which gives me a bit of hope that we could try and find
he can find the next guy, or he has eyes on who the next guy is.
He's proven himself. Whereas if you get a new director of football, it's like, what's going to happen? How is he going to view things? How does he work? And it's different. So 100%. So we'll see what happens. And yes, make sure to put a Q dot before any questions. We will answer them towards the end of the show. Shane saying, think the staff and players can see something special in the making. I agree. And that's why I don't think everyone's going to be leaving the football club this summer, which a lot of neutrals, which I was making an argument right now on the 12th One podcast channel before starting this stream, that, I don't think everyone is leaving Crystal Palace Football Club, because I think players genuinely enjoy playing right now for Palace, and there is that belief that together that they could achieve something. But it does make next season more interesting, because next season, ideally, we have to push on. If we have another mediocre season with troubles along the way and this and that, and then end up finishing 10th in the last minute,
then you may see people start.
We need to be pushing, looking up the table rather than down. This season, I think, as I've said all along, if you're talking about these players being worth this much, 60 million, 80 million, they can play for Champions League, top 6, top 8. If we're saying about all of these players that they are capable of playing at that level, we need to make sure we get the best out of them, because that we have got a lot of talent, and we have to make the most out of it next season. So yeah, I don't think we're far off. I honestly don't think we're far off to reaching that level. It's just about depth. It's just about depth.
I don't think the players. I think the players feel very similar, and that's why we're seeing guys playing at the level they are. They're enjoying what they're doing. One thing, as an athlete, man, it means something to be a part of something and build something and have success, comparatively to just going and joining something and just having success because you joined on to something that was already a really, really good thing. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm sure it means something to these guys to be a part of what Crystal Palace is brewing and what they got going, because being a part of that type of project and building and having success, that means so much compared to just jumping ship and going and joining a champion already made Champions League club. And it's like, oh yeah, I won this. I went there and I won this. But yeah, you went there and they were already going in that direction. You know what I mean? So
and when it comes down to it, when you look at Dougie staying and the influence that could have, is he could easily sell the plan now to say, look, you're coming, especially to championship players or young players that are, that haven't got the Premier League experience. Look what we've done with Elise. Look what we've done with Eze, with even Wharton, Gahey, and all of these players. Like, Dougie can easily say, we've done it. Like, if you join Crystal Palace, we'll give you the opportunities. You'll develop into that player. And I think that's massive in itself, because with a different director of football, especially when it comes down to agents, etc., you might be like, well, that's what the previous regime done, but I don't really know much about you. But Dougie staying at the football club, he can say that, look, I have proven myself to bring in players and these players to develop. And, that helps us in this window as well, in terms of trying to attract these youngsters to come to Crystal Palace Football Club. It has a top to bottom impact, Dougie staying at the football club. And as I've said, hopefully, positive news. Hopefully this is true, and hopefully that is now finished. Them talks about Dougie Freedman leaving Palace is finished, because we got bigger stuff on our agenda. As Connor said, Dougie and Glasner turning down bigger clubs makes a big statement to the players.
Facts.
Facts. So we've shown that. But let's move on to transfer news, which we spoke about yesterday as well. And of course, that is for the Real Betis defender Chadi Riad. Yesterday, we gave an update to say that, the deal is closing in, according to reports over in the UK and Spain. But today, there's another update over in Spain that Crystal Palace have improved their offer for the defender as they secure to push a deal for the signature of the Real Betis centre-back. According to Spanish newspapers, the Eagles have now moved in with a fresh and improved offer for the centre-back with with Barcelona getting a significant chunk of that money as well. I mean, it seems like we're there and abouts now. And it might not get announced straight away. And the reason for that is, look, the season just ended. Players need a break. The window's not even officially open yet. But the fact that, the reports are suggesting that we have, improved offer, and as long as, he joins the football club before preseason starts, that's all I care about. That's the biggest positive. But it seems like we are serious, and based on reports, we are headed in the right direction. Like, the defender should be at the football club sooner rather than later.
I mean, this is what you want to see. I mean, we know for a fact that we are 100% losing one of our top 4, 5-ish center backs going into next season, because Tompkins is his contract is ending. So we for sure know that one of our first team center backs is leaving. So it's extremely important to know that we're already doing the groundwork to have his replacement already ready to go. That next guy in line already there. And I think it's a kudos to really good advanced scouting by us. It's kudos to our negotiation skills and wherewithal.
Yeah. Straight onto it.
Because you're straight onto it. And not to mention, this is a high level young talent that we're talking about bringing in for a very, very fair price. This move reminds me of when we brought in Chris Richards from Bayern. He's a young center back with a lot of talent that hasn't had a ton of run, but we're getting him at a really, really good price. I mean, I went back and just looked through past articles and write-ups on Chadi Riad, and he was the talk of Barcelona's academy for a good amount of time when it came to center backs.
Yeah, he was highly rated. It's surprising that Barcelona are kind of letting him go. I don't know if there's an actual, I don't know the specifics with Betis and the agreement that they have in place with Barcelona. I don't know if Barcelona have to sell him. I don't know what the clause was, but the fact that they're getting a good chunk anyways.
Yeah, I think what it was is Barcelona had just bought so many guys. They had bought so many central defenders like that, center backs, that he got pushed down. They loaned him out, and they end up loaning him out with a very very low buy option, and they had a buyback on him, but the buyback doesn't go active until next summer.
Mm.
So, yeah. So in essence, I think Barcelona was hoping for one thing, but a whole nother thing happened, and the things that were in place just kind of didn't work out for them, because it sounded like they were trying to move up the buyback option to 2024 so they could be able to get them back. But then Betis is like, nope, we're paying that €3 million, and then we'll just pay you out, and because I think they get like 50%. I've heard
Yeah, so they're
50%
getting a good chunk of that. I think Betis are winning, and Barca, I guess, are
so it's
winning.
like, hey, okay, we buy him for €3 million, but we sell him for 15. Yeah, you guys get half of that, but we still banked a decent chunk of money off of this player. So,
and if we want good cup runs, and potentially in the future, when you're looking at, dare I say it, pushing for above top 10 to European spots, and dealing with injuries, you just need depth. You need depth, and I think this is what this Palace squad are missing right now: depth. And I think this is very good depth. And centre half, we're pretty much sorted after him, in my opinion. I don't think we need another centre back with Rob Holding. And
yeah, as long as we don't lose anybody, then no,
as long as we don't
so.
lose anyone. And if we lose someone, let's say it's one of the key players, then we'll find a replacement anyways, and we'll use that money to find a replacement. So this is what we need. This is just the three at the back. We just don't have enough players, and bring him in sooner rather than later, and then focus on to the next position. And we'll be talking about next positions. Just a quick spoiler alert. In the season review, which will be posted tomorrow, we'll be reviewing this season, the transfers and Roy versus Glasner and more. So keep your eyes peeled for that around 5 p.m. UK time. Chris, I agree. The most exciting time to be a Palace fan right now. It's funny because under Vieira, it was exciting as well, but this excitement feels a bit different. I don't know what exactly it is. I just feel like maybe because of Glasner's actual CV and what is achieved in the game, maybe that's what it is as a manager. The fact that he's actually won the European competition with
things are in place,
club, and the progress that he's made with other clubs. Whereas Vieira is still fairly new to the game. It was fantastic. I enjoyed the first season under him, but Glasner just feels like he holds a bit more weight based on his managerial CV. But it genuinely is exciting, and not only that. Not only the Glasner factor, the fact that we just seem like we are getting along. When we're talking about news today about a director of football rejecting Newcastle, who's one of the richest football clubs now in the world, when you're hearing about a manager rejecting Bayern Munich to stay at Crystal Palace, when you're hearing about, being very close to signing a player even before this window's open, there's a different feeling at Palace. We don't normally operate like this, and that's why I think it adds to the excitement. Even though Vieira plays some great football, we still didn't have excitement like this. There were still rumors here and there, and Zaha also ended up.
And at the same time, as excited about Vieira as we were, Vieira was not an established manager. Like let's not make any mistakes about that in a lot of ways. Like he's nowhere near. Let me say nowhere near as established as an Oliver Glasner. I mean. A lot of us, we hung our hats on the fact that Vieira had come in and had taken Nice to the Champions League, which was fantastic. But we're talking about Glasner, a guy who not only has been to those levels but has won.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
The most successful manager we've had to get promoted.
He was a more successful manager, he's a more experienced manager across the board in comparison to Patrick Vieira as well. So.
And not only that, you know what? Glasner, I know it's still a short span of time and he hasn't been here for that long. But when you look at what you've heard about Glasner when you first joined the football club, especially what he's done with forwards in the past, especially with like Weghorst and all the other forwards that he had, we're seeing that with the likes of Mateta. It's not like he's a fluke. Like we're seeing the impact that he's already having in his previous clubs already at Palace. And that's what makes it even more exciting. The fact that he hasn't built his squad yet. I mean, we still got a very good squad. I don't think we'll build a Glasner squad. We'll build a Palace squad because that's how we operate. But, he hasn't had a summer window or preseason, but we're still seeing the signs that we've heard about that's happening in his previous clubs, especially with the forwards, especially getting the most out of the players, scoring goals, being direct. Like, we're seeing it right now, and that's what adds to the excitement. Like, it's happened this season at Palace.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, and if you look at his history and how things have happened in his first season compared to his second season, that's another trend that we're seeing happen and unfold right in front of us, where he has the team finish a lot higher than they have in recent past, to only then the second year jump even higher, which is what we're hoping for right now, where we sit right now. But like you said, with Mateta, whether it be guys like Kolo Muani having success underneath him, who was the other center for? I can't remember, but he is just, it's showing. The proof is in the pudding of what you're seeing from production with the team with him. So I think that's why people like Chris can make that type of statement, where it's like right now is probably debatably one of the best times to be a Palace fan.
And the summer window hopefully backs that up as well. But look, let's move on to the questions. The main news today was Dougie Freedman, and of course just an update on the centre half that we've been linked with. So hopefully that's done sooner rather than later. But all positive still. As soon as the season ends, all positive news, and surprisingly, no news about any players leaving as of yet, but that's 100% going to happen, isn't it? I mean, they're going to be milking that all along. Let's move on to the questions now. If you have a question, we've pinned the questions. If you have any questions, put a Q and a dot before your question, and we'll answer them before we wrap up the show. As I've said, tomorrow we'll be talking about Glasner in a bit more detail in the season review, so make sure to check that out at 5 p.m. UK time. If you're enjoying it, as you can see on the screen, if you can subscribe to help that algorithm, to help grow the channel, that'd be much appreciated. Let's try to get over 200 likes, people, but thank you for your support so far. Now, let's start off with the questions. Ron has two questions. We'll start off with his first one. He says what you mentioned, T. Is it a case of 1 down, 6 to go to complete a dream summer?
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. Okay. I mean, for me, it's like, I guess 2 down, because keeping OG, and getting to you had to keep Dougie are 2 things that are really in place. So now, it's like trying to keep Eze, keep Elise, keep Gahey. Those are like, and I guess Mateta too, because of how he's been streaking.
Yeah, crazy. I never thought of that, but
so it's like,
reject the 30-40 million pound bid potential for Mateta. Like, it's crazy.
Wouldn't be surprised you get man. Like when you score like that in the Premier League, like people are like, yo, he scored 16 in the Premier League. He'll score 20 plus in Bundesliga. He'll score 20 plus in Serie A. He'll score 20 plus in French League One. You know what I'm saying? So who knows?
I guess the dream summer is also keeping Mark Gahey included in that. But I love Gahey to bits, and I still think he's the best defender at the football club. When he's fit and when he's playing, I do think he's better than Joachim Andersen. But I wouldn't say I'll be fuming if Gahey was to leave the football club as well with 2 years left on his deal. And I think that is something to look forward to see what actually happens this summer. If he doesn't sign extension and you let him run down to only 1 year on his deal, then we don't have that much power when he's in his final year of the deal. So let's see what actually happens with Gahey. Does he sign an extension? Do we sell him this summer? And if we do, I'm not as worried. I think with Glasner's system, we've shown he's shown that even Nathaniel Klein could play as centre back and Lerma. But I know we'll find a replacement for Gahey. But I wonder what happens there. I think that would be interesting when you talk about 6 to go to complete a dream summer. But yeah, and he also has a question: do you think we'll get all of our incomings by the time preseason starts? That's 100% the wish. That's my wish, and I think it's important.
That's what you do it for. That's what you shoot for sure.
But the early signs are that we are serious and we are looking to bring in players earlier rather than later, based on the centre half that we've been talking about as well. So fingers crossed that is the case. Dan has a question saying: do you see Klein as the backup right wing back or as one of the 3 at the back? It's hard to say. I would prefer Imre as a backup to Munoz rather than Nathaniel Klein. I don't know if Klein, as the years are going by, he still showed that he's been overlapping as a defender. I guess it all
just depends on how they view a kid like Imre. If they view him as being ready, you know what I mean. I think the preseason will tell a pretty important tale about whether that may be the case, because right now, I think the answer to the question is kind of like both, because I think he can cover for both. Which
Do you think he's good enough to play as a backup to right wing back? Do you think he's got the legs to be able to do that?
I think for now, yes, just because we're not asking him to play every day. You know what I'm saying? So in those situations where we get a knock or we need a sub, I think he could come on and do what you need him to do and be okay. Now, if we're talking about him starting for 30 plus matches in a season, I don't see that as much. But, for a backup, we're not talking about, we're not asking the world of him, so to speak. Now, would I rather have a more fit and apt backup? Yes, but I guess it all just depends on, like you said, how we see Emre and what we can get done in the window.
Let's move on to the next question. Any news on Ben Johnson arriving from West Ham on a free? It's gone quiet. There isn't any news. I mean, there were reports before the season ended that, he wants to join Palace. So it seems like he was going to join us, but it's all gone quiet. So I wonder what's going to happen, especially after we've been linked with another defender. Do we still sign him on a free? Does he still want to join us on a free? I'm not too sure. Maybe he doesn't, and maybe that's why we are going for Chadi Riad. Like that, maybe that could be the case. I don't know.
I mean, part of it depends on how they see him in the system and what they see him playing. You know what I'm saying? First of all, here's the thing: the Chadi Riad is a left-footed center back, so he would be on the left side of the three, I think. So that's why I'm hoping there might not be Ben Johnson overlap, because Ben Johnson will be playing on that right side, and I think it's just a matter of, do we see him as being able to play that right wing back position, or do we see him more as a right center back? You know what I'm saying? So either way, I think it's a great move to bring him in still. Even with bringing in Chadi Riad, I still think it's a great move to bring Ben Johnson in.
I don't know. I don't really see him as like a right wing back option. I don't know. I see him more as like a central defender, realistically, anyways, in terms of what we expect from a right wing back.
Yeah, but I mean, by trade, he's a right back, so he's used to attacking and defending. So I don't know.
Potentially, yeah. Earth saying, how many players does Palace need to bring in? This is very hard to answer. So let's say if the squad remains as it is right now, I genuinely don't think we need any first team players right now. We don't need any first team players right now. We need depth.
You don't need any first team players. You mean we don't need any starting 11 players.
Starting 11 players. Yeah, I don't think we need any starting 11 players right now. We're sorted there. But if we're talking about depth, I think we need another striker,
3 or 4.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to put numbers down right now. You have to have a think. Well, if we another centre back, which it seems like it's going to happen, a left wing back to back up, Mitchell, because I do think he needs that support there.
Right wing back, cover striker. So I said 4.
Right wing back, but then again, these could be solved internally through the academy as well. So
True.
So yeah, right wing back, left wing back, another centre back, another striker down the left hand side. I'll take Eze and Franca, so that's fine.
I think my number 4. If things stay as it is, I think my number 4.
I use there as a backup as well.
Right.
But yeah, like we're talking about maybe 4 to 5, because it depends on the striker situation as well.
Yeah, if everything stays the same, and we expect, if everything stays the same, then Edouard doesn't leave. So if Edouard doesn't leave, then we don't need to bring in another striker. But I guess I would just estimate and say my number would be 4.
Yeah, around 4, which is not a lot. I mean, 1 could be
which is a good situation, because I feel like we've been in situations going into this period where we've needed like 7. So
yeah, 7. Yeah, we need this and that and whatever. And also we might sell one of the goalkeepers as well. And I don't think that's
you know what I'm saying?
So yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. Whether an academy player gets promoted or whether we sign another backup goalie.
I'd like to see Emre get that call though. I can't lie.
Yeah, for the right wing back, I agree. I want him get that call as well, especially as a backup option. Looney saying Kamada of Lazio contract of £58,000 a week offered by Palace. He previously played under Glasner. Do you guys hear about this also? I haven't personally heard about anything unless it's happened whilst we've been on stream. I know we've been rumoured with him potentially joining Palace. I think he has to make a decision at the end of this month.
Yeah, like the 30th or something. But I did hear that we put an offer on the table to him that matches the wage. I heard that piece. I did see that piece, but I don't know where it's gone since. But
Yeah, exactly. So there's no other updates on that. I guess we'll find out in the next week or so because he hasn't made a decision by then. Luke saying thoughts on future of Klein, Matthews, Ferguson. Ferguson, I think is gone. Matthews,
yep,
it probably stays at. Well, did he not actually? What happened?
I haven't heard anything about his contract extension. The club hasn't mentioned anything either. So
Did he not get an extension?
they haven't mentioned him getting one.
Interesting.
But they also haven't mentioned him leaving either. But there was that article that came out that said that they, like when the club released the article saying that they were entering into negotiations with, I think, 7 players. Remy Matthews was one of the players mentioned in that article.
I guess maybe there might still be negotiations.
Yeah, so they could still be in negotiations because if anything, he's probably towards the bottom of the list on priority as far as who you're going to resign. So maybe they're getting that worked out. But.
Yeah. And Klein is staying at the football club. Animal says, who springs to your mind for Mitchell backup? I don't know.
There's 2 for me. I'll let you go.
Who do you think?
Well, I mean, both are free options too. Ryan Sessegnon.
Would you want to be back up?
Yeah, I would. I'd take him.
But would you want to be a backup? He's really struggled recently in his career to get playing times. Would you want to come to Palace to be a backup? Or would you not want to go and play first team football?
I would. I think he would. I think he would relish the chance to stay in the Premier League and compete for time. And I think the thing is, like, right now at Tottenham, he's not in the top 2 at the position. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. I think it's different when you're coming in and you're top 2 in your position, where you understand that a bad run of form or injury means that you're on the pitch. Or beating somebody out in training, you're on the pitch, compared to being the 4th guy on the list, where a miracle has to happen for you to see the pitch. So I would think I feel like he would take that opportunity. The other guy that I would throw out there too is what's his name? He's from Betis too. Juan Miranda. He's only 24 years old, left back. He'll be a free agent. So, I think those are 2 guys that could be really good options, and young, experienced, and very affordable as far as not having to pay transfer fees.
So young, I guess the wages as well. I don't know what he would.
That's a good question. I mean, he did go to Fulham. He went back to Fulham on loan, and I wonder what that might have been like. So I wonder how affordable his wages could be comparatively. I don't think, because I feel like Tottenham doesn't pay a crazy amount to guys.
Yeah, they're very they're very.
So I feel like his wage. So I feel like his wage now, or the wage he would come in on, could be affordable, hopefully.
Yeah, let's go through last few questions. Mr. Mike saying, looking at the 33-man squad, Mitchell being left out is criminal. No fit left back in there. It's actually, we spoke about it yesterday. It's baffling. It's baffling to have the likes of Luke Shaw there, not Mitchell, based on Luke Shaw's injury record and Mitchell's.
Why would you even mention that guy? He's not going to play.
It's like they just didn't want to include more Palace players for the sake of not including more Palace players. Like, because
they didn't want us to have 5 of them.
Exactly, just didn't want to have 5 on them. Otherwise, it's going to get a bit ridiculous. So maybe that's the only explanation, because otherwise, I genuinely don't know why. Ernie saying, I wonder how Zaha views the structural changes that Glasner's putting in Palace. I don't know. I don't know if he regrets or not. I doubt he regrets it, but it's not really.
I think he's proud. I hope he's proud. I think he's proud. I'm sure he's happy for the club. That's what I would think. I wouldn't say he's jealous or regretful.
No, I wouldn't say he's jealous or anything, but
I wouldn't say he's regretful.
I don't think he would regret anything. I don't think he would, because at the time, he kind of proved his point. Look at what happened with Hodgson.
And he did what he sought out to do.
But he hasn't really been playing as much. He hasn't. And this is the risky move. He made a risky move, and we've seen it with a lot of players. As soon as they stop playing, as soon as they stop getting game time, then they might go to another club. They might not. Like, that's how your career could potentially. Like, he personally has a big decision to make this summer, because he needs
absolutely
the right move. sit on the bench again, because slowly he'll just start losing his rep whilst being on the bench. So let's see what happens with him anyways. Callum saying thoughts on Alfie Doughty as a left wing back or backup wing back for us next season.
I mean, that's a really good choice too. I don't know what his contract situation is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the good thing that could work in our favor is the fact that coming from Luton and them going down, we might be able to get him for a fair price.
And it depends on who else is interested in him as well.
There's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of people interested in him. Because
he might be able to get first team football somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he made a lot of appearances, so he got a lot of first team Premier League experience at this point too. So he offers a lot with being younger, will be on the younger end in his mid-20s. So,
Harry saying, "What is your ideal transfer window? Keeping all the players that we've been speaking about.
Absolutely,
one, but sign depth. For me, it's not starting 11; it's depth.
Solid depth.
We're not far off. Yeah, solid depth, not depth for depth's sake, but quality depth.
Right.
And we're not far off. Just sensible business, and we're there. Simple as, literally. And we've got 3 months to solve it. Actually, less than 3 months, because I want it to be solved before preseason actually starts. So I have more time to work with some of these players as well. Chris saying, which players from under 21s can you see making first team? I think Imre as a backup option next season.
It's Imre and Teo for me.
Yeah,
those are probably
What's happened with Teo? It's weird.
I mean, I think he made a total of like 14 or 16 appearances in total for Molenbeek. So I don't know, man. I mean, he's got a lot of good intangibles. So I guess the big part of me that thinks it could be possible for him is the fact that once he starts working with Glasner, I think we can see.
It's weird because a few months ago I was mentioning Teo's going to be Mitchell's left wing back option as a backup, but now I'm slowly giving up on that because it's gone all a bit quiet. I guess he's another one to prove himself in preseason, and if he does, then we can talk about right wing back and left wing back as the depth options at the football club right now as it stands. That would be perfect to promote the academy players and give them the opportunity to be options coming off the bench. That'll be fantastic for us, and it's a step in the right direction. But that also depends on how Glasner perceives some of these players. So Teo's got a big one,
100%,
because his stock's kind of gone a bit weird recently. Shane saying, "Do you think Mateta can reach 25 goals next season?" It's going to be hard, but if he continues his form, 100%, yes, he can.
In a full season of being the guy, being the striker. I mean, he just did what he did this year with 19, and he wasn't the full-time striker. You know what I'm saying? So that's extremely impressive just there. And he wasn't in Glasner's system the entire year either. So, I mean, I think he can definitely do it. Now, those 25 may be 25 total. It may not be just in Premier League. You know what I mean? It could be including cup competitions, but I definitely think he could do it.
Yeah, he can. I know there's a lot more questions, people, but we have to wrap up as we are going to be recording the season review, which will be out tomorrow at 5 p.m. But if you're just joining us now and want to catch up on everything that's been said and the latest news, make sure to go to the start of the show to catch up on everything. Sorry for not answering your questions if we haven't been able to do so. Make sure to join us tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be able to answer them. But if you have enjoyed it, like, subscribe, watching on replay, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That's it from me and T. And until next time, up the Palace.